set to host Sean Elliott and Georgia State. Big game in the Sun Belt. We've got two quarterbacks for the Red Wolves looking to start tonight. Logan Bonner, Lane Hatcher, both will see playing time going up against Quad Brown and that Panthers offense. Kickoff coming up shortly, but now Joey Galloway, Trevor Maddich, and the brains of the operation, Kevin Connors.
I will not argue with a word of what Matt Barry said. Welcome inside College Football Countdown, delivered by Papa John's, alongside the aforementioned national champion and the aforementioned Ohio State legend. I am Kevin Connors. Week 7, guys, of the college football season is upon us. We got a good one in Jonesboro tonight. Good slate of games coming up this weekend. The major storyline, though, of course, continues to be the impact of COVID on the sport. Alabama coach Nick Saban testing positive Wednesday, won't be on the sideline Saturday for the Georgia game. LSU, Florida, Vanderbilt, Missouri have also been postponed. Defense across the board has been indefensible. And if it wins championships, as the old axiom goes, we won't have one this season because no one plays it. Just ask Virginia Tech, who allowed North Carolina to throw for nearly 300 yards and run for nearly 400 last week in a Tar Heels shootout victory. A lot to unpack here. Joey, let's start with you in Alabama. Steve Sarkisian figures to be on the sideline for this big game against Georgia. Where, Joey, will the Tide miss Nick Saban the most?
Well, I think they're going to miss him, period. We're talking about the best to ever do it in college football going to be there. Now, does that mean that they're not going to be motivated and go out and play and do the things that coaches taught them to do? No, not at all. But when your leader isn't there, the guy that makes the speeches, the guy that talks to the team, the guy that when you go into the locker room, he's going to be one to make the adjustments at halftime. When he's not there, things are different. Does that mean Sarkisian can't get the job done? No, not at all. But if they get into tight spots, they get to end the games, and they have to make decisions on whether to call timeouts, whether to go for it on maybe a 4th and short, those are the times when you look to your leader, you look to your head coach to make those kind of decisions. Now, if they don't get in those spots, you don't have to worry about it. But if they do, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs wondering, what would Coach Saban do in this situation?
Joey, I think different is the key word that you just said, because when it comes down to the difference, it's not just the differences in style. It's the difference in belief of the players. Players believe that Nick Saban is going to tell them the right thing in order to get out of a tight spot. They believe that if they get a little sloppy, Nick Saban will hold them to account. He will discipline them in a certain way, and they're accustomed to that in the high emotion of a difficult momentum swing in a game. Steve Sarkisian coached at Washington and USC. He knows how to do this stuff, but he's different. And the question is, how will the players respond? Well, they're not thinking about it now. Right now, they're thinking, yeah, I'll just do it the same way I always have. But when the emotion is on, and when Georgia's hitting him in the mouth, all of a sudden they revert to the emotional norm. What will that be with a new leader?
And as Joey said, when you're used to looking over to the sidelines to see a legend and he's not there, how does that impact things? It is number 2 versus number 3 in college football. It is potentially a game that could decide who represents the SEC in the college football playoff. And it is a matchup of the top offensive unit in the country and the top defensive unit. First time since ESPN Analytics has been tracking the metric in 2005. The top units will face off in the regular season. There have been 3 such matchups in the national championship, so perhaps this may be a preview. Joey, the Alabama offense has had massive success a week ago against Ole Miss, but Georgia is no Ole Miss. What must Mac Jones and company do to have success against this Dogs D?
The same thing they've been doing. This is the scariest offense in college football, with so many weapons, and now that Mechie, the wide receiver, has stepped up to be that third wideout with the group already with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, you got Najee Harris in the backfield. It is scary what they've been able to do. So if you look at what their offensive line did against Ole Miss, that's where it started. When you see the guard pull, and then you'll see Carl Tucker, the tight end, come across, and then Najee Harris, who had 200 yards in this game, there's 3 guys left between him and the goal line. He's going to get it in. And because they had so much success running the ball, when they play fake in this game, watch the second level. Watch the linebackers all coming forward with their eyes in the backfield. Then you got Jalen Waddle man-to-man on the outside, and Mac Jones, who's playing at a very high level. And I do believe because he has so many weapons to throw the ball to, they're running the ball well, the offensive line is playing well. And so they've been doing, they won't get 700 plus yards against a Georgia defense, which is as good as any defense in the country. But if they do what they've been doing, have this success, take care of the football, not make mistakes, they'll be able to put points on the board because they're as explosive as anyone we see in college football today.
Remarkable given what they lost to the NFL from a year ago, and yet they haven't missed a beat. Flip side, as Joey was talking about, it's stark to see this Georgia defense and the numbers that they have here because no one plays defense in college football except them. They really have been great.
Right. This will be the toughest challenge for Alabama's offense, maybe all season. This Georgia defense, one of the best in the country. And the thing is, they need to score against this defense, but it'll be hard because the Georgia defense is able to do things that others can't. It starts out with being explosive. Monty Rice looks like he just explodes through the gap. The running back can't get there fast enough and scoop and score. Another look shows, though, that he also has an unfair advantage. This starts as a blitz, but watch those red helmets cross. It's also a twist. The running back can't get back to adjust to it because Rice is so explosive. You put the two together, it's really hard to score on these guys. On the other side of the ball, though, Bama's got to expect that Georgia will score, in part because they're really good at taking advantage of matchup. This is Tennessee's backup middle linebacker. And when Stetson Bennett, the quarterback, sees him just along for the ride, he's close, but he doesn't have a chance here. He goes right after him. They go after it again. You'll see a wide receiver on Tennessee's backup safety, and Bennett immediately goes for this. So he has the understanding to know where the matchup is. He's got the accuracy to drop those dimes. And because of this, Alabama's offense needs to expect to score because Alabama's own defense is getting torched and targeted in the passing game at the linebacker and safety positions.
We saw it a week ago against Ole Miss. Indeed. Of course, Nick Saban arrived in Tuscaloosa in 2007. For the better part of the past decade, they have been national championship contenders. Remarkable, although might Georgia have plans on derailing those expectations this season? Brad Edwards with a look in this week's Numbers Crunch.